Hello guys, welcome to the channel H2O, the A to Z of chemistry. Today we will be starting with a new course, that is the S block elements, and today is going to be lecture number 1. We are going to give you a detailed course covering each and every concept that is going to be asked for this S block elements. Today is going to be lecture number 1. So this is just a simple introduction to the S block elements. And before we begin with the discussion, there are certain important things that I would like to discuss with you. Inorganic chemistry is a very vast topic. If we talk about each and every element, well, there are books written on those elements. One element, one complete big book. All right, so you should have a clear understanding how much you have to study for your examination. So be it your school examination or JEE or NEET examinations, even JEE Advanced also, please do be assured that you have to study the NCERT textbook. Whatever is given in the NCERT textbook, that is very important to you. And apart from that, what all questions that have been asked in the previous year examination questions for the past 20 years, well, at least that much is very important that you should have seen those. And if anything out of the NCERT textbook is missing, it will be hardly anything that you will be finding, but whatever is missing, well, you have to just add that to your knowledge. That is going to be sufficient for you people to excel in the examination. And I'm saying excel, just not pass. You are going to get very good marks. You are going to able to attempt all the questions if you have done that. So what are we going to do over here? That is what we will be obviously doing for you people also. We have made all our lectures based on the NCERT textbook, right? So all the content that you will be finding is what is given in the NCERT textbook. It may be given in this course as far as the NCERT textbook is concerned, or it may be certain things which are given in other chapters of the NCERT textbook that we will be putting over here so that you have a thorough understanding. Wherever there are lines which you cannot understand, we will be explaining them to you. We will be providing you extra explanation for all those concepts. And we have also scanned the previous year papers of past 35 years so that we can give you all the content that is going to help you excel in your examination. So you can be assured that you are going to get the best possible content for your best possible preparation. I am Dr. Ritu Johar, your educator from the channel, and I hope you're going to enjoy your learning with me. So let us begin the learning. So what would be the best way to begin this discussion? Well, have a look at the periodic table, right? So you have been seeing this from long, and this is what we are discussing when we start with the discussion of the S block elements. Where are the S block elements placed in the periodic table? Well, they are at the start of the periodic table. Group number 1 and group number 2 of the periodic table, these are the S block elements. Then we have group number 13 to group number 18, which form the P block elements. We have group number 3 to group number 12 forming the D block elements. And in this group number 3, we have all the F block elements as well. So I hope you have a broad understanding of all this. You've already had a detailed discussion of the periodic classification of elements. So you know these basics. So we have group number 1 and group number 2 to be the S block elements. Let us just magnify this view. So this is how the periodic table look like in a very simple view. We have the 4 blocks, the S, P, and D, and F, and these blocks, they are based upon the electronic configuration. Where is the last electron entering? If the last electron enters into the S orbital, it will be S block elements. If it is entering into the P orbitals, it will be the P block elements. If it is entering D, then D block, and if it is entering the F orbitals, it are going to be called as the F block elements. Now the S block elements, they are group number 1 and 2. Group number 13 to 18, they are going to be P block elements. D block 3 to 12 and F block, they are present in group number 3, sharing this space with the D block elements, right? Alright, now the S block elements, they are S and the P block elements, they are called as the normal and the representative elements. The D block elements, they are called as the transition elements. The F block elements, they are called as the inner transition elements. We study in class 11th S block elements, and from P block 13 and 14 group. The rest you will be studying in class 12th, and the D and F block elements, they are also studied in class 12th. So you have to have a complete understanding of all the groups like this. Alright, now the next thing that you have to remember is that these normal or the representative elements, they are very reactive in nature. So they are generally not found in the native state. A few of them may be found. And one very important thing that you have to remember is that the first member of the respective groups, they differ from the lower ones. So you will be seeing that when you are going to study about the individual groups, but this is what you will be seeing in general for the S and the P block elements. So let us have a brief overview of these S block elements today. So the S block elements, they are called S block elements because the last electron enters into the outermost or the valence shell S orbital. And you all know an orbital can accommodate only 2 electrons, and the S orbital, that is only one of its type. The p orbitals, we have 3 types. The d, we have 5. The f, we have 7 orbitals, but s is only 1. So one orbital, 2 electrons, one going into the orbital at a time. So we have 2 groups corresponding to that in the S block. That is going to be group number 1 and group number 2. First of all, let us see the group 1 elements. So the group 1 elements, these are going to be lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium. I have not included over here hydrogen because hydrogen, this has properties which are more similar to the non-metals, that is the halogens. Right, so we will be discussing, whenever we will be discussing these S block elements group number 1, we will be starting with our discussion from lithium going on to francium. All right, in fact, the most of the discussion will be going on from lithium to cesium because francium, this is a radioactive element. All right, so we have group number 1 elements to be lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium, and collectively they are called as alkali metals. Now, why do we call them alkali metals? Because they form hydroxides on reaction with water, which are strongly alkaline in nature. All right, so that is why we call them as alkali metals. Now, certain important things about them. First, we have is that sodium and potassium, these are the most abundant out of these group 1 elements. Then we have lithium, rubidium, cesium, which are found in very less proportion in nature. Francium, this is highly radioactive, as I already told you that its longest lived isotope, francium 223, this has a half-life of only 21 minutes. So it has a very short half-life also. This is one thing that you have to remember. So sodium and potassium, they are most abundant. We have less quantities of lithium, rubidium, cesium, and francium is going to be radioactive with a half-life of 21 minutes. Alright, I hope you will remember all of these things. Now, if you want a trick to remember the order, I have already given all the tricks to remember the group elements even in my periodic classification lectures. But well, we are discussing these, so why not give you a trick here as well? So what you can remember is that we have lithium to be little. Okay, so we have little, nasty, kids, rub, cat's fur. Little nasty kids rub cat's fur, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium. So this is how you can remember these as well. So the next we have is the group 2 elements. The group 2 elements, they are beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. And apart from beryllium, all the rest, they are called as alkaline earth metals because their oxides and hydroxides, they are alkaline in nature, and the metal oxides, they are found in the earth's crust. So earth's crust, so they are earth metals. The oxides and hydroxide, they are alkaline in nature, therefore alkaline. So alkaline earth metals is group number 2 and group number 1 is alkali metals. Certain important things that you have to remember which are given in the NCERT textbook are that calcium and magnesium, they rank 5th and 6th in abundance in the earth's crust. So they are found in the earth's crust at a rank of 5th and 6th, which are the first 4 ones. Let me show you that also. So we have oxygen to be maximum present in the earth's crust, then silicon, aluminium, iron, and then it is going to be calcium and magnesium. Strontium and barium, they do not have much of an abundance, and if you see beryllium, this is going to be very rarely found, and radium, this is the rarest of all. It is only 10 power minus 10% of the igneous rocks. Now, what are igneous rocks? Well, igneous rocks, if you do not remember from your junior SST studies, well, igneous rocks, they are a type of rock which is formed from the magma or the molten rock that has cooled and hardened. So whenever there are going to be volcanic eruptions, the lava, the molten magma that comes out, when that cools down, what is formed are the igneous rocks, and in these igneous rocks we find radium at 10 power minus 10%. Alright, another important thing about radium is that radium, this is a radioactive element just like we did for francium in group number 1. So radium, this has a half-life of 1620 years. Alright, francium, it had only of 21 minutes, and this has a long half-life of 1620 years. Now one more thing you would be wanting even to remember a mnemonic for these also. So let me give you that also. You can just simply write down in your notebooks that we have beryllium to be beer, magnesium to be mugs. Okay, beer mugs can serve bar rats. Alright, so there are beer mugs which can serve the bar rats. Alright, so this is how you can remember. Little nasty kids rub cat's fur and beer mugs can serve bar cats. So these are going to be group number 1 and group number 2. These are very important that you please do remember all these orders for the various groups. This is going to be very helpful when you have to give the orders for various properties of these. So now let us see a few more properties over here for them. So first of all, what you have to remember is that the electronic configuration for the S block elements, it is going to be noble gas NS1 for alkali metals, noble gas NS2 for the alkaline earth metals. So I hope you all know how to write down the electronic configuration. I do not have to teach you that. Okay. Now the next very important point that I want you all to know is that lithium and beryllium, they are the first elements of group 1 and 2. Okay, but what we will be seeing is that they will be having some properties which are going to be different from the other members of the respective group, and whatever properties they are different, they will be showing a similarity in those properties with the second element of the following group. That is, for lithium we will be seeing a resemblance to magnesium, and for beryllium we will be seeing a resemblance to aluminium, and this is called as the diagonal relationship. Right, so lithium, this is group 1, some properties different from group 1 elements, but similarity of those properties with magnesium. Beryllium having those properties similar with aluminium, and similarly you will be seeing boron and silicon also exhibiting a similarity. Okay, we will be discussing in detail what is the difference of lithium's properties with all the group 1 elements and the resemblance of this with magnesium. So this is what we are going to do that. Then we will be doing a detailed discussion. But this is what we call as the diagonal relationship, as a brief understanding. Now, why is this so? Is just remember that this is because of a similarity in the ionic sizes, or you can say it is because of a similarity of the charge by radius ratio of these elements. What we mean over here is that lithium will be having +1 charge. Magnesium will be having +2 charge. So this will be the charge. And then we will have to look at the radii also for these. So lithium, this is the first member of its period, although this is going to be the smallest as far as the group 1 elements they are concerned, but in its period this is the largest, right? And then we have beryllium. It will be smaller in size than lithium, and from beryllium to magnesium there is going to be an increase in size, because from in a group the atomic radii they are increasing, right? So what we find is that there is a similarity in this lithium ion over radius ratio over here and here. Okay, so there is a similarity in this ratio, or you can say there is a similarity in the ionic sizes of lithium and magnesium, then beryllium and aluminium, and therefore we see a similarity in the way they are behaving in many of the properties. So this is something that you have to remember. Now, one more thing which I want you to remember is that I told you at the start of the lecture that the S and the P block elements, they are called as the representative elements. And in these representative elements, what we find is that the first member is going to differ in the properties from the lower ones. So you should remember that also always. Why is it so? First of all, the first member, this is the smallest member of the family, right? It has the smallest size. Next, it has got the highest electronegativity values, high electronegativity values, because down the group the electronegativity values they decrease. Another very important thing is that in these second period elements we do not have the d orbitals. Once the d orbitals come in the third period elements, first of all there is going to be a sharp increase in size, and also these d orbitals they are available for bond formation. So because of these 3 points, we see that the second period elements, they differ from the third period element onwards with their group. Okay, so lithium will be differing from sodium, but sodium, this is going to be resembling almost to potassium, rubidium, cesium, and so on. And this way even we will be seeing for the group 2 and the other p block elements as well. Okay, so this is what you have to remember. Now a brief overview of the uses of these. So we have monovalent potassium and sodium ions and divalent magnesium and calcium ions found in a large proportion in the biological fluids, which perform important biological functions like maintenance of the ion balance, nerve impulse conduction. We will be talking about more of these uses as the course projects starts, but this is why they are so very important. We cannot survive without these ions. They are so very important to us. So as we are just having an overview of these S block elements, let me give you an overview of the comparison between the S and the P block elements as well. So the S block elements, they are going to form ionic compounds, whereas the P block elements, they form generally the covalent compounds. S block elements, they have a single oxidation state which is going to be equal to the group number, whereas the P block elements, they have variable oxidation state. And here one very important thing that you can remember is that in the P block elements, going down the group, the lower oxidation states, they are more common because of the presence of the inert pair effect. Alright, so this we will be discussing more when we will be discussing the P block elements. I have also given a brief understanding of this in my course on the periodic table as well. You can watch that also. Alright, now the S block elements, all of them, they act as strong reducing agents, and for the P block elements, the reducing character is going to reduce down the group. So this is just a brief understanding, a brief comparison between the S and the P block elements. So that would be all for this lecture. I hope you've enjoyed your learning with me, and you are going to be there for the next lecture as well. So see you again. Have a nice day. Please do subscribe to the channel so that you can get the notifications as and when we are uploading the next lecture. Bye bye.